Hello and welcome back to r/EntitledParents. And if you're new here, I hope you enjoy.
I was in Tesco's like 2 days ago, just minding my own business and grabbing food. And then my Galaxy Bud falls out of my ear. I reach down to pick it up, and this snotty little kid picks it up and puts it in his ear. I was like, ew, that's so unhygienic. And I told him, dude, give it back. This kid was like 7, and he had this crap eating grin on his face, and he shakes his head. I reach forwards to grab him, and he runs to his mother wailing. To cut this story short, I told her that he had my earbud, and I demanded it back. She said, no, finders keepers. And then I looked this lady up and down. She had tracksuit bottoms and Nike shoes on. You could tell she was a chav, a soccer mum. I then demanded it again and reached for the kid. Like, these things cost me £130, and I'm not losing them that easily. She swatted me away and pulled her mask down and yelled, get away from us. I was so done with this. I grabbed one of the clerks and I'm like, that kid stole my Galaxy Bud. This woman has the audacity to say, no, she stole my son's Galaxy Buds and she won't give it back. This guy was confused, so he grabs his manager and they pull us into the back to the office. And the manager asks, how can you prove this earbud is yours? And this woman goes on a rant how she just bought them 2 weeks ago and how they're her sons and I'm a thief. I just carefully grab my phone, open up the Bluetooth and exclaim, then why are your Galaxy Buds connected to my phone? She stammers, tries making more excuses, and this poor, tired manager says, either you give back the earbud now, ma'am, or we'll call the police to sort this out. So in a huff, she gives it back, and I'm like, no way, your kid just put that in his dirty ear. The manager groans again, and frankly I was sick of this too, so I wiped it down with an antibacterial cloth. If the buds were cheap and like £20, I would have said, forget it. I ain't getting the Rona, and let the little gremlin have the other one. But no way am I wasting my money on this entitled kid and a cracked up mother. I'm just glad I didn't have the police on my butt. What a ball ache that would have been. And our final story today. He punched me over a fender bender, so I destroyed his life. Thanks to Lord S. Thor. I was working as a civilian with the US military overseas, and I lived off base in an apartment complex popular among the US military. One morning, I accidentally hit another soldier's vehicle. Upon exiting the vehicle, I noticed that both our vehicles were what you would call a hoopty. A hoopty is an old car that is pretty beat up that has been passed around from service to service member, and they generally sell for $1,000 to $2,000. I also recognised that I was at fault for the accident. It was a very minor accident. His rear bumper was slightly dented, but I could hear both our cars still running. I approached the driver, who had already gotten out, and he was in uniform, and I apologised. And I said, if it was alright with him, I would like to negotiate a payment. I will pay him in cash and then we don't involve the authorities. I wanted to keep this simple. I'll be honest, the accident was so minor, I honestly expected him to say, nah man, it's good. But even if he wanted some money, I would have paid him. I've always been of the opinion, if you have a fender bender and can negotiate agreeable terms between both parties, it's best not to involve insurance or police. He told me he wanted to call the police. I said we could call the police or we could go on base together and I could give him $300. He said that wasn't enough, so I upped my offer to $500. He proceeded to punch me in the face. It was a sucker punch. He got into his car and took off, and in the process nearly ran me over. Now, I had a black box in my car which recorded everything. I went to the Provost Marshal office on base, the police station, and reported the accident and the assault and showed the military police the footage. They used his license plate to track him down. I was also asked if I wanted to involve the local authorities or press criminal charges off base. Honestly, I felt like the soldier would learn his lesson if I let the military court handle this, and I said, not at this time. but I was told it was an option. The end result was the soldier in question got 60 days of extra duty, reduction in rank, and forfeited a portion of his paycheck. Essentially, if he dealt with that, this would have been the end of the whole ordeal. Honestly, at this point, I assumed our ordeal was over. Well, a few days later, after his punishment was decided on, which was not long after the incident itself, I was in the commissary, grocery store on the base, shopping, when the soldier who assaulted me saw me and began to insult me. I told him he needed to calm down, that he should have learnt his lesson, and he told me I was a softie who didn't know how to take a punch. I reminded him that I held back on destroying his life, but he told me he's already been punished and I can't touch him again. He left me be. A store employee witnessed the entire encounter, and I got the employee's details and reported this interaction to his command. His commander told me he had been ordered to not interact with me and would take action. His commander also recommended that I involve the local authorities, since this soldier obviously wasn't learning his lesson. So I did. I contacted an attorney. The attorney was unsure if we could successfully sue the soldier and said he would need a cash payment to take the case. Honestly, I was mad and I wanted to teach this guy a lesson. I agreed, and it was not cheap. To keep this story short, we ended up in a court off base. We presented our evidence. The soldier in question had decided to represent himself. Several times in the court he had outbursts. The judge ended up granting me a judgment of approximately $50,000 US. When the judgment was given, the soldier called the judge a son of a bench, and that the army would cover for him. So the judge changed his judgment to $80,000, and the judge then asked me if I also wanted to press charges against this soldier in criminal court. Honestly, it was obvious this guy wasn't going to learn a lesson. I told the judge I wanted to pursue criminal charges in addition to the judgment. My lawyer later advised me that if I ever wanted to see the money, I should pursue an international hold. With my judgment, it's likely that a judge would grant me an international hold. An international hold is basically where the soldier would not be able to leave the country until I was paid my $80,000. Also, he told me that according to the agreement between the US military and the host country, the US military would honour the international hold. Basically, the US military would not protect him or move him out of country to avoid punishment. Honestly, by this point, I had paid my lawyer thousands of dollars, and I honestly didn't feel like paying thousands of dollars and getting nothing out for it. So I said yes, I want to go forward with the international hold. About a month later, the international hold was granted and the US military was informed of this. 2 months after that, the criminal case was over and the soldier was sentenced to 90 days in jail. By this point, the soldier had been moved onto the base into his barracks by his commander. I remember the day I was informed by the military police, who handed him over to the local authorities to begin his 90-day jail sentence. Did I mention he still owed me $80,000? I heard nothing for a year, and then one day I get a call from his commander. His commander wanted me to make a statement in regards to the case. I go in and make the statement. During the statement, I found out that the US military was in the process of chaptering the soldier out of the US military. The commander also informed me that he was close to coming up with the money to pay me, so he could have the international hold lifted. The commander also asked me if my lawyer would be willing to make the statement. I contacted my lawyer, who also made a statement about the facts of the case. A few weeks later, his ex-wife contacted me. When this all started, I knew he was married. Guess his wife decided to divorce him. She informed that her ex-husband had the money and needed the details on how to pay me. I provided her the details, and a few days later I got the payment and contacted his ex-wife to inform her I had been paid. She then asked me to send a receipt so he could have the international hold lifted and returned to the States. I asked her how he got the money. She said he maxed out his credit and also had family help out. Also, during this conversation, I had found out the army had chaptered him out of the military. I sent her the receipt, and that was the last I ever heard from his side. I took his $80,000 and bought myself a brand new car, and used the rest of the money to put down on an investment property. FAQ. This post blew up, so I turned off my inbox replies because it was too much, so I felt like answering some common questions here. Am I worried about the guy getting revenge on me? No, because he's back in the States while I'm still overseas. He most likely has a criminal record, which means he wouldn't even be allowed past immigration. Plus, since then I've taken a new job and moved, etc. And it's not connected to his incident, just how things are. Plus, this happened many years ago. The amount seems a bit high. The actual amount was in foreign currency, and I rounded up and adjusted figures, but it was very high. I did suffer from a black eye, and his behaviour after the fact didn't help. Also, this incident happened in an Asian country during a time period in which we had several other high-profile incidents with US service members screwing up. My incident was not high-profile at all, but that all played a role. Honestly, I expected around $15,000 to $20,000. Also, in this country, settlements for damages are based upon your ability to pay and tend to be on the higher side. I think the courts also thought he was an American and could afford it. However, the amount even shocked my lawyer. Why did his commander recommend I take this to civil authorities? I got the feeling his commander was tired of this soldier. I suspect it wasn't the first incident. What country did this happen in? I don't wish to disclose that. However, several people in the comment section have guessed correctly. Actually, someone who was familiar with the incident PM'd me, so this blew up more than I intended. I will say this, it happened in Asia, in a country with a large troop presence. Why did I go so far? Honestly, that was never my intention. In fact, I decided to report to the military instead of going straight to the local authorities because I figured doing so would allow us to deal with the issue in-house and his punishment would be limited. I was right, but he didn't learn his lesson. However, once I got to the local authorities, my lawyer involved it into something I didn't expect. Also, by the time that the dust had settled, I had paid my lawyer a significant sum of money and had to use up my vacation days. In total, this entire incident cost me thousands of dollars in lawyer costs, vacation time, etc. So I did want my money back by that point. Why did he get a jail sentence for simple assault? So in this country, they do not like to give suspended sentences to foreigners. I suspect a local national would have gotten a suspended sentence. I do have a local friend who was involved in an assault many years ago, and he got 90-day suspended sentence. However, my guess is the judge gave him jail time instead of suspended sentence because he was a foreigner. However, I was not involved very much in the criminal case. Questions about his wife and ex-wife. Truth be told, I don't know much about this. I do not know if she was his ex-wife because of this or not. I also never saw his ex-wife in person. The only involvement I had with her was at the very end. Entitled Parent thinks teachers should work 24/7. So as stated in the title, I am a teacher. I teach 6th to 8th grades in the United States public school system. So English is my first language. I have been teaching this year a simultaneous hybrid model, meaning I'm teaching via Zoom while I have half of my students tuning into Zoom and the other half is sitting in the classroom with me. It's whatever, I've managed. Until 2 major events happened. I'm extremely immune compromised thanks to being back on chemo. I'm lucky it's not too bad for me, but one of the major side effects is a heart event, which I had and was hospitalized for a while, then returned home and school because I love my kids. Once I returned, a few weeks later, I got the Rona, as did my family. As a result, I've been teaching via Zoom, while a sub, or basically an adult body, is in my classroom with the in-school kids. But again, they get the information and education they deserve. With the Rona, I only took off 3 days because, again, I love my students and I can wear my pajama bottoms when I teach. All this is to say my grading was a bit behind what it should have been. It wasn't horrible, but maybe I was 1 week behind. I updated it all this week. It is also the end of the half semester and the end of the whole of semester 1. Needless to say, the kids are a bit frantic in general, even with teachers who have been up to date 100% of the time. If we were to get late work turned in, we were mandated to accept all of it without penalty up until Friday, our last day, which was this up and coming week. Now, this isn't my first rodeo. I know kids always ask for extra credit at the last minute, so I had the bright idea to post extra credit on our school website specific to my area. I did this in October, I added it in November, and the first week in December. I mentioned it in every week too. Yeah, kids are kids, and humans procrastinate, so I had to answer calls and emails over the weekend. It is mandated we do this for 1 hour, one time over the weekend, either on a Friday, Saturday or Sunday, but I often do it as they come in, because I can access my account on my phone. But given how sick we all still are here, I've limited it to 1 hour Saturday morning at 7 AM. This is finally where my ramblings get good. So, I got 9 text messages from entitled parents on Friday, ranging from 6 PM to 11 PM, asking me to contact her and her child immediately. Yes, she has my Google cell number. All parents have to have access to us. I ignored them because 1. School ended at 2 PM and my contract hours ended at 2:45. I'd been in before 6 AM under contract due to the bus shortages. 2. I have a life, a family, and deserve time off. 3. I was on TikTok and Reddit. 4. I had 2 glasses of wine. And 5. I was still not feeling wonderful and wanted to watch silly Christmas movies and drink hot cocoa with my family because I was out of wine. I know it's not an emergency, I am not a medical doctor, and anything they might need from me can wait until Saturday. I went to bed, and on Saturday at 7 AM I opened my emails. 12 from entitled parents, 6 from entitled student, and 2 from entitled administrator. Great, this should be fun. Entitled parent and entitled student are mad that I didn't ask how high when they said jump and respond to their emails, because entitled student has a C+ and they want an A+. What does entitled student need to do? Entitled administrator was CC'd on these emails, and entitled administrator has asked in email 1 if I got the emails, and in email 2 to CC them when I respond. Entitled administrator has been extra nitpicky with me this year because of above mentioned absences, but whatever, I follow the choose your own adventure rule of thumb and follow all district and contract rules and policies. My response was this at 7:13 AM on Saturday. Dear entitled student and entitled parent, I have received a combined 27 texts and emails from you on Friday. Thank you for being understanding when I say that unfortunately I wasn't able to respond until today because I had prior engagements. I see that entitled student has 4 missing assignments that still can be done. There are how-to videos attached to the assignments on the school website page under my class if entitled student needs help before Monday. And I have 6 extra credit assignments also posted there that entitled student is welcome to do as well. Combining this with the late work, review the online gradebook and look for the red box with a 0 in it. Or I have attached the titles and dates when these were due for you, along with the links to turn them in. This should put entitled student over the top. Thank you, and if there are any further questions, I can be contacted at insert school number or via the methods you already used on Monday at 6 AM. Thanks. Entitled student wrote back, I don't want to do them, isn't there something else I can do? And CC'd entitled parent and entitled administrator. So I actually respond back with a reply all saying, wow, you just caught me before my office hours were over. No, unfortunately there is nothing further I can offer you for extra credit, but I can help you. I'll even do a one-on-one Zoom Monday if you struggle. I will talk to you on Monday about this option. Have a good weekend. I'm going to drive to the tree festival tonight when it gets dark because we can stay in our cars. Hint hint, I'm busy. Mum immediately writes back, entitled student does not like the options you gave us. Give us different options. This is ridiculous. I pay my taxes. You work for me. You need to answer when I message you. Asking me to wait until the next day is stupid. I am your boss. I'm copying entitled administrator and you'll get in trouble for not offering my child other options. Entitled student should not have to do stuff that entitled administrator doesn't like. I laugh at this, but do not respond. Entitled parent sent it at 8:45 after all. I get an actual phone call from entitled administrator at 9:06 Saturday. Please can you tell me what is going on here? I respond that entitled student has missing work and did not like any of the 6 options I had for extra credit to bring up entitled student's grade up from a C+ to an A. Entitled administrator actually says, find something else or offer a one-to-one Zoom on Sunday. I flatly say, no, I am busy on Sunday. I have been ill and I've worked through it and I've already done my required hour. I offered all these options as extra credit. What do you think I should offer instead? Entitled administrator actually says, maybe you can call entitled student and see what they want to do. I said I'll send one more email and CC entitled administrator so everyone will be on the same page. Entitled student and entitled parent actually had already talked to entitled administrator, unbeknownst to me. So entitled mother responded that I had to offer to come to their house and give entitled student one-on-one lessons, and entitled student wants them to be fun, so maybe something about Fortnite. Maybe I could play Fortnite with entitled student while entitled parent and the other parent go out for dinner. Great, now I'm being told to be a free babysitter, and I'm not allowed to tell anyone I've had the Rona, so I can't use that as an excuse. I respond, that will not work, and that is not a good substitute for educational work. My entitled administrator actually said I should consider it and think of it as a bonding experience for my student and myself. Just maybe not during dinner time. Mum and dad should probably witness it. Again, I said, no, per my contract, I do not and will not do that, and I will not reply further until Monday. Oh, I already have my union rep coming in for this. This, my friends, is what happens when you teach at a Title I school and you have a handful of rich kids that the administrator wants to appease. I'm assuming that's because their tax money funds us more than the rest of my kids' parents combined. Now, it's 1:34 AM and I cannot sleep worrying about tomorrow. If you stayed to the end, good on you. That was too long. I'll post an update tomorrow. Update. My union rep and her higher up met me this morning via Zoom before we met with entitled administrator. He came into the Zoom all happy-go-lucky and chatty. He does this when he knows he's in the wrong. My union reps saw right through the facade. I'll call building rep union rep 1 and district union rep 2 for the ease of typing. Union rep 2. Mr. Administrator, can you please explain what you feel happened with Mitch's My Batch of Crazy, entitled mother and entitled students? Administrator. Well, the mum and the student contacted My Batch of Crazy with a request to help the student get his grade up. And at this school, we require 1 hour outside of school hours for office hours every weekend. But My Batch of Crazy didn't respond in a timely manner. So, the parent contacted me and gave a suggestion of a one-on-one meeting, like My Batch of Crazy often does. But she refused to accommodate the request. Yes, he actually said that, and yes, I do see the writing on the wall, but I'm not too worried. I think he's on his way out. Union Rep 2. Where in the contract does it require that? You know that hours outside of contract cannot be required without making changes to the contract with approval at the district and union level. Union Rep 1, did you know about this? Yes, it is new and I was going to bring it up at the next union meeting. My Batch of Crazy, can you please share with us what you feel is the truth? I share the facts with emails and texts printed out, as well as the extra credit assignments. Union Rep 2. Mr. Administrator, I'm unsure how this is a reasonable request. Can you please elaborate on what you think is appropriate about asking a teacher to be a babysitter? We are not babysitters, and lists a bunch of union bylaws supporting not working mandatory hours outside of contract hours without pay, and then something I think was from the district about who is and who isn't required to visit students at home. Some kids do need home visits for support reasons. OP is clearly not in that group, and it is specifically spelled out as such by Union Rep 1 and Union Rep 2. I say nothing. Entitled Administrator says nothing, but is becoming redder than Santa's suit. I was embarrassed for him. Union Rep 2 says something about needing to confer with the union, but asks why entitled administrator thinks he is above the district rules and the union contract. Administrator said something like, "We live in the grey area, nothing is black or white, and we need to do what's best for our students and families, even if it means a sacrifice to us personally. We are in unique times." Before he finishes that thought, Union Rep 2 abruptly says no, and it is clear that there's going to be no resolution today. OP, Union Rep 1 will be leaving now. I'm sure you have things to do. Nothing further shall be spoken about this to OP regarding this administrator until you have heard from another union person. I don't know what their title was. I've never been very union active. Edit 2. An official memo came from our superintendent this afternoon that basically said teachers are not required to work outside of contract hours and no one may mandate otherwise without district approval. There should be no office hours outside of contract hours on nights and weekends without a signed letter from the superintendent. Content area teachers are not required to work outside of contract hours at different locations unless approval from the district level, with exception to those that are contracted to coach, drive, etc. When abnormal situations arise, such as a public health crisis, and when the need arises, weather-related delays or closures, or other emergency situations, only the district heads may mandate locations outside of the physical school buildings, including, but not limited to teleteaching and other forms of non-in-person on-school grounds. These may not be made by anyone outside of the list of approved district personnel, not even local school level administrators, and anyone who has any questions may email the list for approval. They also attached a copy of a form that teachers will have to fill out if they want to do what they call private tutoring. That the teacher, the school admin and the HR heads must all sign that says the teacher is doing this not in their official capacity as a district educator and is not affiliated with the district in this position. Also, the school district may not be held liable, and that students should consider the free mentoring programs held at certain times and on certain days at the school by paid educators who agree to this service. So my student is still in my class, their grade is still the same, and no one can force me to change their grades, nor can anyone override my grades in this, according to what my union reps have told me. I cannot speak to sources, but many people have told me that this administrator is on their way out for various reasons of overstepping, favouritism and retaliation. That is all I can say. As always guys, thank you so much for listening. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Happy Friday. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. If you disliked it, give it a little dislike. And let me know in the comments below how excited you are for something. I don't know, anything.